So it turns out that the two things are related. So the problem I was having with the scroll bar is related to the thing. And it's basically uh, because I was setting the theme on the roots of the. I'm not 100% sure if that's the problem, but I assume that this is the issue because it's the only thing that makes sense. So I was creating a new theme and I was setting the theme on the root of the scene. And because on that theme, I'm not setting any other values that are not related to the other properties of the nodes, then I believe that the scroll bar style gets messed up because you can't find the theme. I think I'm gonna spend time today just going over trying to see if that's the case or not. Um, and then depending on how long that takes, I might study the FileSystemDock later. Because the what is weird to me is that it should be getting the default theme as a fallback when you can't find the scroll bar. So I'm not 100% sure that is the case, but I think that's the only thing that makes sense because when I change there, it seems that it's showing now. But if I reset the theme there, if I reset the theme, so I built the simplified version of the editor node scene, but I couldn't reproduce like in the exact same way that they have because a lot of the editor classes you can't really use on the engine because they're not registered properly. And because I assume that they did this on purpose because they use other stuff from the editor that you're not supposed to access on the scene or whatever reason they have. So what I did was just replace the editor nodes with the nodes that they inherit from, which is basically the scene nodes. So the simplest example is just the doc split container or editor. I think it's doc split container, but it's basically just a class that inherits from split container. So what I did just replace with split container instead. And it doesn't produce the editor exactly. There's also other parts like these things here. Assume that either they're not supposed to show one of the splits or whatever. So it's like missing attributes somewhere along those classes that they set. And this is basically so this version I got from manually changing from the editor just to see if it was gonna show the scroll bars. But before I manually changed here the position and added the scroll container here. So the scroll container is supposed to be somewhere along the lines inside of this other things here, I think, as far as I remember, if I'm building directly from the code, which is just the version from the editor. But it wasn't showing anything. And I assume that it wasn't showing anything because in order to show stuff, you need to build the tree. And I think that the tree class is the thing that is going to create this stuff here. So each tree is going to have a tree item, and the tree item is the thing that is going to contain the information to build the cell. In the cell, you have to set the icons and stuff like that. And I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to figure out how to reproduce the tree. So I can create here as well, just see if it's gonna overflow the space and then create the stuff here because this is basically what I'm trying to understand how it works. It's just the slider in the bottom here. So I got to this situation manually, and then I decided that it's just enough because it doesn't make sense to spend that much time trying to figure out. So I basically try to reproduce this one on the other one, which is this thing here, which is very simple. It's just the same thing that I was doing, but you put so if you don't put anything, initially I thought that the reason why it's not working is that if you don't put anything in the beginning as a child of the scroll container, it's gonna give you a warning there, and then I think that this might be another reason why it wasn't working because if you put the child dynamically, then it doesn't show. But I think it's more likely that the issue is the theming. But I guess it's easier to see if that's the case or not. But it might be like an additional problem. So basically, yeah, it's just this. This already, I changed to VBox container, I think. Then you put the scroll container, and then I'm putting a VBox, I think, by the VBox by default here. And then I'm gonna put the content inside of the VBox. If I don't put the VBox, then I think it doesn't show there. But I didn't test now. This thing now that I'm using here, I manually put there. Just see. if it works or not. So I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna delete all of this just to see if it's gonna show the stuff there when I manually put on the scene. So yeah, I'm not really sure if it's gonna work, but basically you get this warning because the scroll container should have a child. So I don't remember if I tested it like this. No, I definitely didn't test with the new theme. Just see if it's gonna work. I need to change the name. So I'm doing this icon tab here is a class that I created that is based on the name that I put this. Sure, I forgot which one has to be. I still haven't tested to build so the problem is the style that I had the theme on the theme uses style boxes, which you can do on the editor and you can do it from code. It's basically the same stuff that I'm doing. And I was just setting the V-scroll bar, which is the vertical bar, to override the theme because I want a thinner bar than the one that they have by default on the editor. But because I didn't have the theme on the scroll bar, I think that this is the reason why it wasn't showing. It's overriding the theme, but it's not finding the default theme because I assume that it's probably because I'm setting the theme on the root of the scene. But I still find it weird because in my mind it should still get the default theme as a default when you can't find that value on the new theme that the scene is supposed to have. So the name is icon sidebar contents. And basically what I'm gonna do now is just try to build this thing from code again to see if the style works. And then maybe go over with the debugger to try to see if I can figure out what is going on when it comes to the thing, why it's not finding on the scroll container. And basically you can see the theme here. I'm setting from code, but you can still see on the editor. It's basically here. Now, this one I'm setting manually because I was just trying to see if it's gonna work. But you set the theme here, and then you add a type here. And then based on the type, you can override the values for that type. So the type that it has here is going to be dependent on the theme cache of the class. So the scroll container is going to have the grabbers or the scrollers, which have the grabbers. But these classes here are the ones that have the theme. And when you override there, you're basically overriding the ones from here. So whenever you see a class on the source code that has theme cache as a member, these are the values that is going to override. It's going to have on the thing like it's very likely that they designed the class based on the theme cache values here. So when you override on a theme, it's going to change the values here. So if you're setting a new theme, you have to set a value for all of them. If you want to change, and if you want the theme only to act on the class, then obviously you should set the theme on the node specifically. But it's probably better in most situations to just use the override function to override specific values instead of changing the whole thing. I think it's just a much better thing to do if you want to set a new thing to make sure you set all the values for all the possible values for all the classes, and then or most of the values, and then just set the theme as on the root of the scene to override everything. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to customize nodes, then you just use the override function. But I'm not really sure if I'm going to do this now. I think I'm just going to get to the point where I solve, because it's more important for me, I think, after I solve this scroll bar thing, to translate the FileSystemDock to the stuff that I use in there. But it's basically these macros here that are going to allow them to set the values of whatever variable you put here is going to set the value at some moment on the rendering cycle. Once the theme is changed or on the beginning of the scene, when the node enters the scene, because the functionality based on the control node. And here's the name of the class that you want to set and the name of the value on the theme. And the default theme is the one that obviously is going to be on the default, and they set all these values in the beginning there when they are initializing the default theme. And that's why you're able to use this macro here. That's why the classes are able to use the macro to set the values of the member variable of the class with whatever values these have on the default thing. And then they're going to use these values to create a drawing of the class. And that's why if you override on the theme is going to change the style of the class, because what you're doing is essentially changing the values of you're changing the style boxes and stuff like that that the class uses on the thing, and then this makes it this macro here run the function, and then it's going to get the values from the new theme you have. But then the problem is if you don't set all of them, some of them are not going to have any values. Unless in some situations the node's gonna default on the default theme again, and then it's possible that you still have the other styles. But I think on this class here, for this case, it's not working. So when I set the new theme and I just put the value of the V container there, or V scroll bar, and then don't set the one for the H bar, it has the new style for the vertical scroll, but it doesn't have on the horizontal, so it doesn't show anything. Yeah, so now it's not showing anymore. So I guess it should there's two different reasons. So one is probably the thing, and the other one is whenever you have a scroll container, it needs to have something as the default, because something happens even though you're adding dynamically the thing here. I think it does the calculations based on the beginning, or it might be something related to the theme as well, but I'm not really sure how this works. So I guess a good thing to do would be to explore based on the. I can change the code there. I'm gonna do initially with the scroll container or the VBox container as a child of the scroll container, just to see if it works. And then if that works, then I might remove the vscroll container, go over with the debugger, because now I know that I can run the game directly without using the debugger on this code. And then I'm gonna be able to see what's happening when I have to think about where to put the breakpoints and how to go about understanding this. Because it doesn't make sense to be. I think it does a calculation based on the minimum size of whatever you have in the bottom, because that's how it figures out how to. Yeah, I think that this is the. So maybe a good idea is to spend time studying the class. So I'm gonna close here. Let's do one more to see if it works. Let me change this. When Alright, this one has to be expands. Yeah, now it shows up. I should probably spend time. I'm gonna spend time studying this stuff here to understand how it works. Because I think like the only thing that would make sense is that there's probably both of the things are the problem. So one is the theme, because the theme doesn't even show like when I have but when I didn't set on the theme that I have there, it wasn't showing even on the editor. So before it runs the game, I think that's how I realized that it was the theme, because the bar wasn't showing even on the editor. And so I think it's definitely both problems. One is the theme, and the other one I think is that the class is drawing based on the initial value that it has. So when you have something that is going to change the node dynamically, it's going to change when the children are gonna change dynamically, something happens that the class doesn't create that the scroll container doesn't create the bar in the correct way. I think it does the calculation first. It does a calculation on the beginning, probably with the minimum size, and then it doesn't adjust later when a new item is added as a child. So first I'm gonna see if it works because it didn't test still. So I might have to spend some time trying to figure out how to do this. But it's basically here. So the content div is the main box there for all the stuff on the right side of the icon sidebar. And then there's a split container. That's the main split container. So on the left is going to be the FileSystemDock, which is this stuff here. And on the right of the thing is going to be the IDE and the visualization. So here is the main one there, which is the first VBox that I put there as a child. Then I put a scroll container as a child of the VBox. Size expands, and then I put another VBox to have as a default there with the minimum size. And this is the one that is going to have the name, because the one that has this name here determines where the icon sidebar is going to put the stuff there. Now, I guess the other thing that I can do is to put the FileSystemDock. Once I transfer the FileSystemDock file, I can put here by default instead of putting the VBox. But the annoying thing about this is that I'm not really sure how it's gonna evolve, and I wanna have something that like is flexible, but is like always the same. That I can expect to work the same way, because I don't know which classes I'm gonna build to put there in the future. So I don't want to be forced, because in this way that it is now, I'm using the VBox container. So like even though I think I can get around this by putting extra nodes on other elements. So let's say I want to add an element that requires the item should be horizontally aligned or something like that. Like because I'm using a VBox by default, it's going to be annoying to figure out each time that I want to add a new thing there, if I need to add more extra nodes to add the class later. So this is one of the issues, and I'm pretty sure I tested with panel container and panel as well. And I think panel it doesn't work, the scroll container. So it has to be the form or the type of the container changes the way that the scroll container is gonna work, and changes whether or not it's gonna show there. So this is the issue. I guess I can try. Panel I think would be the best to have, because I assume that is the one that is the most flexible and the most consistent, I think. But I'm not 100% sure as well, because I don't know very well how these nodes work yet. I have to spend a lot more time studying each one to understand the functionality of each one and how I'm gonna it's like since the beginning this is something that is kind of annoying to understand or to like change your mind to think about it. I guess like it is similar to front end or to the browser, but it's similar in a very different way. So it's like very different to think about, because but yeah, I think it's because on the browser it's just separated. So obviously there's a bunch of paradigms in the browser to put CSS on the nodes now, but it does feel different, because this is more thinking about the tree, the structure of the tree, coupled with the layouts, I think. So, and also, I do think that they have some container that is similar to Flexbox. But it does feel very counterintuitive to think about. It's kind of hard in the beginning. Think about what is the best way to structure things. Okay, nice. So this one is working. So I'm gonna leave it like this, most likely. Now I just wanna see. So what I can, so one thing that I can test from the editor here first is to change this to a panel again to see. I'm pretty sure I tried panel, but it didn't work. I have to expand. But maybe if the new thing works. Okay, so now it works. Nice. So I'm probably gonna leave panel instead of the VBox. Because panel is more, it seems more flexible, I think. But it's good to know that both work because obviously then I can just switch if I want to. I'm gonna leave panel, I think. So it was mainly because of the thing, probably. And the thing ends when you don't add anything there is also fucking it up. Oh no, is that I added it as a child, so maybe it doesn't work. Let me try again. So maybe it doesn't work. I did this another time as well. It's confused by changing the type and adding as a child. Yeah, so it doesn't work. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So I'm gonna have to leave. Panel container, no, it works, but I think it changes the. This one it doesn't have anything, just a button class that is putting to attach to different icons. To see if it's gonna switch. So panel container is gonna show there, but it's kind of weird the way that it looks. So I don't think container it requires a child as well. And the other containers are gonna force some layout, I think. So yeah, it's kind of annoying. It does work, but when I put the button, it's gonna change. Like it displays the whole thing here. So it's about which one is gonna allow me to not have to think too much about it, regardless of what kind of component I'm gonna add as a child. Maybe I could put a control to see, just the control, and then with the minimum size. I'm gonna try control. Let's see. So if control works, then it's better, I think. Yeah, it doesn't work. But the other obvious question as well is why. So what makes it different? So what is the difference between the HBox one and the other nodes when it comes to the scroll container? I, like this is the thing that is kind of hard to wrap my mind around. Like how is it going to determine when to put the bar? So the question I have is, what is the best way to explore this? Maybe should look into the scroll container a little bit and then think about, because it's not the scroll container that is gonna create the thing, but like the actual slide thing is comes from the H scroll there. There is a member variable of the scroll container, but the scroll container should have some functionality. Maybe I can search for the warning that it shows there, to or anything related to children. I already spent some time looking into this. I'm gonna look for the warning there. Let's see. Nodes configuration. Mm. So it must be somewhere else. I'm gonna search on everything there. No configuration. I'll be right back. So the warning comes from the thing. See if I search for the other pattern. Using intended short with signature. Scroll container. Scroll container. But it has the maybe it didn't set the minimum size. Maybe that's the problem. I think that it might be the problem. That's for us. And this that's the issue. Hmm. So obviously there needs to be, because the thing that is kind of annoying as well is that it depends on the type of the stuff that you're gonna put here, I think. It has to, because by default it's not gonna show, regardless of what container it is. So when you put there is something that happens on the container disappearance of the stuff that has the content. And I think that this is the issue. So the control doesn't change some property based on its children. So it has to be a class that changes its properties based on the child. Because I think that's how it's gonna calculate. It, I think it comes down to the minimum size here. So it has to be the minimum size of the direct child of the scroll container. But then how does it do the calculation of when it gets to the minimum size? So it doesn't have anything that is gonna be a clear show. And one of the questions is why does it need one child? And I think I should do this. So I do remember there is a function here where it's gonna get the minimum size, I think. It's gonna do some calculation or something with the minimum size. Or combine minimum size. Might be this compute anchors. Yeah, I guess I need to search for. Oh, so this is under control. Interesting. I need to search for the variables there, the other classes, because those are the ones that are going to be responsible for creating the actual thing. So I need to search for them. In this scroll show. Largest child mean size is greater than minimum size. So I think that's the calculation here. So it's gonna get the combined minimum size of the child, and then based on this, it's going to determine whether or not it shows. So I think it's because it has to be because of how the direct child is gonna change its values based on the whether or not it has children. I think that's the so the question is, can you make the control class or whatever node to have the properties by default? Because I already have the minimum size there. It doesn't work. Minimum size. This is on the control. Hmm. The question is, how can I step over? Like, what can I do to step over this? Just because it has to be after after I click to add a child. There is a first way that comes to my mind is to create a signal and then emit the signal on the X bar and connect this function to the other one, but it's too much work, I think. It's not worth it. I have to think about something else. Let me what's this? Oh, minimum size. So the question is how does it, so I have to, so it should pick true as examples. It should probably be the panel and the VBox container. Should study each one and then see how they determine the minimum size. And the VBox, obviously, I think, like it's gonna update the size based on the. Not even sure if it's the minimum size that it's gonna update. So this is interesting. One thing that I can test is put. I have to think about something that I can put that is not gonna be, or maybe I can just change the. So if I put the minimum size of the custom physics, which is the element that I'm putting there, is 150. So I'm gonna put this as 170, and I'm gonna change to VBox again. Now it already has by default here. Now let me. So it's gonna show whenever the direct shell size is the minimum size is greater than the size that it actually is at the moment. Yeah. Hmm. So obviously what's happening is that on some containers or some stuff that I'm gonna put there, if I put the minimum size at a certain value, it's not gonna show on the defaults, and then it updates the minimum size based on the children, and then starts showing the bar. So obviously I can increase the minimum size. But I'm just thinking about if I don't want the scroll to show by default, and how should I do it? It should be based on the split as well, I think. Just probably because of the value. Yeah, I think it's the difference between the VBox and the minibar here. Hmm. Let's increase this by, it's not gonna show. Think about this. And so if I put this as 170, it's not gonna show as well. Yeah. So the delta between this one and this one is gonna be directly correlated with the scroll. But hmm. Yeah, so the question is how does the split container change the minimum size? because the other stuff that I'm putting there has a minimum size. The custom physics has I think is 150 the minimum size. So it creates a delta of 40 because this is one down. And then it starts showing the thing. But then why when I don't put anything here, why it doesn't show? Because I'm pretty sure that it's not gonna show, but I don't remember very well. Yeah, it doesn't show. So this is weird. So obviously it's because it's doing the calculation at the beginning there. So one thing that I can try should change. This class doesn't have the notification, I think. That's how. So one thing that I can try is just put the reorder. I think I'm pretty sure there is a notification to know when the children of the container are changed. So I have to figure out how it calculates the minimum size there, and then just add a notification, and then just call the function that it's probably gonna be, but this one should be one of them, I think. So I guess I can test this first, can put the thing here, and then see what happens when I click the button there. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Oh, so no, this pretty sure is going to the wrong, but maybe not. Yeah, child order changed. I think this is the one. So I think what is happening is that like the only thing that makes sense that the reason why it's not showing is because it's setting up on the beginning. So once you initialize the class, it sets up the value, and then it doesn't update when you add the child because this is the minimum is 150, and it should be lower than that, and then it should show. I still think it is probably worth it to put either a panel or a control, even if it does work, to change the scroll container class. Because it's probably better to have something. It's more predictable, I think. So another thing that I can. What happens if I put the node here? I'm pretty sure it will put the thing there. Yeah, it does put. So it does the calculation based on the delta between the parent and the child. So I'm gonna close and then I'm gonna go over with the debugger or directly on the game, and then I'm gonna see. I mainly wanna see if it's gonna run this stuff here when I add the new child. So it probably determines whether or not shows based on this. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this was gonna determine whether it show based on this here. So I think by default it's probably the auto. And then he's going to check whether or not this largest child mean size is greater than the size. What is this size? So the size is probably the size of the scroll container. Yeah. So it doesn't have anything to do with the parents. I think it's tricky because of the split container. Because it should be updating the size of the scroll bar. Yeah, I think it's because it doesn't update this. It's gonna update on the get minimum size. And it updates on the reposition children. Oh, here is getting from, it's not calling from this one. Yeah, it's different. No, but it does get. No, it doesn't get from this one. Yeah, so it doesn't call this one, it calls from the other nodes. Where is it calling this? It doesn't call this anywhere? That's weird. And why does it have this function here? It doesn't make any sense. If it doesn't call the function, then why does it have it? Doesn't make sense. Or probably it's gonna call from outside of the class. Or maybe it's gonna call. But yeah, that would make sense. The only possible way that it calls is through this stuff here. Okay, spell stuff. Yeah, so I'm just gonna press F5. But I'm pretty sure now that the reason why this is happening is because it doesn't update the values when the children change for whatever reason. But I'm not really sure if that makes sense because it has to update on the other container is updating. So it has to be because of the way that the child updates its size. Set offsets, presets. Hmm. So that should be because of this thing here. I'm just gonna press F5 again. See if I can get to the points. I guess it's worth it to step into this minimum size cache. Hmm. Yeah, so I think it comes down to how the nodes are gonna change, are gonna call, or update this minimum size cache based on its children. So I think the HBox or the VBox, the the normal containers, they update the size, the minimum size after you add the child. So I assume that it's gonna be, but then like why when you add directly it doesn't work? That's the thing that is weird. Because directly should be the same. So I need to get to the points where it's running to see if it's gonna call the functions there on each frame. So it's not calling. Oh, let's call this. Mean size. Why is it 50? Yeah, supposed to be 150. Yeah, 150, 244. So why is the orientation vertical? I guess. It's because of this. That says V scroll. Hmm. So it didn't go over here, and then it goes on the other one. I think it doesn't go on this one because of this size. That doesn't make sense. Why would the parent of the H scroll not be the scroll container, but the parent of the V scroll is the scroll container? But maybe it is correct because it's calculating the DAX. So whatever, I'm not gonna think too much about this. But it might be this calculation the problem. Not 100% sure. Or This one is a VBox for sure. Fuck. Again, it goes on this one. And it's 4. So it does scroll this. Yes, the size is 110. So I guess the size is just the current size that the scroll container is at. And the minimum is going to be the one that calculated there. So so this is the issue. They are the same size here. So why is this 150? It was 110. No, it's 110. Yeah, so it should be true. So 110, 150. So far, I think is like everything makes sense. So it should be, but the weird thing is that it just returns there. Like it means it didn't change. I forgot to see if it was true or not. So it's false on this one, but the other one I forgot to see if it was true. It was probably false, and then it was the same as the other one. Maybe it's because it's not on scrolled mode auto. I think that's probably, it might be the case. I'm gonna, cause yeah. So I'm gonna see if it is because of the mode there. Because I forgot to see if it was false. So obviously it's not changing the Boolean variable because it's the same as the previous one. And the previous one has to be false, so assume that it is false. The only reason why it would be false is because of the mode. So I think the default mode is not auto, it's something else. But then why would the other one show? That's the weird part. I'll be right back. So it does seem that it is on the auto. Yeah. So that should be something else. Click. It didn't go there. Next. I guess this is correct. This is true. True. So it doesn't go there. I guess it's correct. 110. It's gonna be 0 probably. Yeah. So now is the time. So it's auto, so this should be true. This should be true as well. So it is true. Okay, now it's starting. So I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be. It's giving false, which means it's true. Oh, it's actually the other way around. So this is true. So it's probably correct. So this one is false, the other one is true. I guess what I can do is go. Probably after this, I'm going to go just put the H box there, and then I go again. This being 0. Something. I guess it could be this, but I don't wanna like, spend a bunch of time there trying to see if it's right or not. And this is gonna be 0. One 50. Is it because of the flag? So the only thing that I've seen there is the flag. So the reason, one potential reason why it could be wrong. But I don't think it's the case because it seems that the value of the C here was correct, was 150 and whatever. So not sure what's going on. I have to go over with the other situation to see what happens. I think like the difference might be before it starts running though. So So this one doesn't have flags. I don't remember if this one has. It doesn't have the flag to expand. So one experiment I can do is just set the flags, just see what happens. But I think it's easier to just get one outside. It's probably because of the flag, I think. I'll continue and then it's probably there isn't anything more. Yeah, so whatever. And open from here. I'm gonna test if I put a VBox container without the flags, just the minimum size. And then I add the to that one if it works. I don't remember if I put the flags or not when I put the VBox container, but I think I probably did. So it might be because this one doesn't have flags. But then if that's the case, then it should work with the control. Yeah, it shows already here. Hmm. I was gonna, so let me remove. Because I'm pretty sure I put the flags on this one and it doesn't work. If we don't set the minimum. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Oh, it does work. Oh no, because I'm putting on the other one. But it's still kind of weird. Yeah, so I guess it was the flag. Like I'm still pushing to the scroll container. Let me remove. So now it doesn't show. I'm pretty sure I put the flag on the. Yeah, on sidebar. This is a control. It's this. Yeah, now it doesn't show. So I think it's a combination of the flag and the size. Yeah, obviously it has to be because it doesn't, the control doesn't change the, I could implement the hack there now that I know. So if you set a flag and you push to the other one, it's gonna update the size because it's getting directly from the child. It's still kind of weird. Because then it's gonna have two children on the scroll container. And this one works. So I assume, let me see the VBox container. How does it, like what happens when you add the child on the VBox? That's the question. Where's box container? I think the VBox is just gonna be the box container with a flag. Yeah, it's pretty much the box container for flag. It's probably gonna be this one. Resort. Set vertical, update minimum size. The easiest way to test is to call this stuff inside of the. I'm gonna copy. So I guess like, this is the best way to test. On the custom physics, I just copy the functionality that they use here on the box container, and then I see if it's gonna. I'm pretty sure it will update. When I don't have anything else, so it doesn't work. Oh, I forgot to change the name. Yeah, it doesn't work when it doesn't have anything. So I think it's both because this class doesn't have the, because obviously when I'm putting and I'm putting directly and it should be updating the minimum size to 150, which is greater than 110. So it should be showing, but it's not showing. So I assume it's because this class doesn't have, this node doesn't have the flags to stretch the thing. And the way that the scroll container does stuff is based on the flag there. So I think this is one of the reasons. And when I have the control and the control has a flag, then if I put directly on the thing, it updates. But if I put on the control, it doesn't because it doesn't update the size. So the control node doesn't update its minimum size based on the children minimum size, but the VBox container probably does that, and probably that's the reason why it shows there. I think that's what's happening. Yeah, get child, so it's gonna do something. You should update the size. Combine size and increases the minimum size. So let me. So the easiest way to test is to put the flags first on the custom physics. Let me. I guess I can do it from here. I'm not really sure because I don't think I exposed everything. Yeah, but when yeah, if I put direct, it's gonna show. This is also weird. So why is it showing when I put directly and not later? What is the difference? I have to put the size from the code and then see if it's gonna work. Otherwise, it's not gonna allow me to. It already shows there. The thing is, if it was a flag, then it wouldn't work when I put directly. Here's the warning. So it has to be this one that runs first when it enters. It's gonna run both this and the reposition in the beginning. But then what is the difference? The main difference I think is it has to be this. So I think reposition children is gonna run every time like the children change because of the notification, but this one only runs once. So one thing that I can try is just put this one here as well, just see what happens. I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna put this stuff there. Then I'm gonna compile and run again and see if it changes anything. So I'm gonna put here. Not sure if like because this is gonna make it so that it calls at the moment that the message queue there is running. So it's gonna run the function later. So it doesn't matter I think if I put before or after this one. But if it is working there before, it has to be something related to like there needs to be a difference between the way that it works in the beginning and the way it might be because of the warning as well. I forgot what is the message. Let's have children or something. Scroll container is intended to work. Found different than one. This is the problem. It's gonna be dependent on something else. I'm not sure if it changes the functionality of the null. I think it shouldn't since it's not calling this anywhere. It's just a warning for the editor, but it doesn't change the functionality on the beginning of the class. Yeah, so the only difference is the function, the other function that is running there. It could be on the other classes though. Could be on this one and this one. Let me write now. So it could be flags. Yeah, but it's like a combination of things. Otherwise, you wouldn't. No, I think I didn't test any. I mean, no, there is a situation there where it does work. Or maybe not, actually. I don't think so. Maybe it could be scroll is. I don't think I tested. I don't think there is a situation where I tested where it started with nothing and then it worked. But maybe I did. I don't remember. I think the situations that work is when you already have one and then it changes the way you do it. So it might be just because it doesn't have. Like it should run anyway. So sure. So one thing to test is if we don't have the box container. So if you don't have the flag and you put the minimum size, I know that it's gonna work there because I already tested. So it can't be the flag. It has to be. I think it's just because when you start with no node as a child, it fucks up. But I don't remember if I tested. It's not working. So I like the situation where it does work is when I have another one already, or I deleted the wrong one. As I can press Control Z. When you start with no thing, so I guess I can test like this. If yeah, so I have to change the name. So if it doesn't have anything and I just use that node to put the other one, it's gonna work. It does work. Hmm. Yeah, so it has to be this thing where like if it starts off with no child, then it doesn't work. So it might be because of the event, I think. Now let me test this. Maybe it's this one. Does this already exist? Center tree. this one have. The thing is, I'm not 100% sure if this notification here is gonna happen after you add the child. I guess I can look into the add child node to see. That's probably better. So I'm pretty sure on the icon sidebar I'm using add child on the thing there. That's I need to remove this stuff here. I'm gonna remove now. Maybe it's better to put. I'm not. Let's just see if I remove. He's gonna complain. Yeah, but it's basically here. So I'm removing all the children that the target node has, which is the icon sidebar node, and then I just called add child, and then add the thing as a control. So let's see. So the child sends a notification parented. Actually, child order change. So you should run that thing there. It is correct. Yeah. Fuck. Delete this. I forgot to put this one. So if it doesn't work, I'm gonna go over the debugger and see if it's stopping here after I add the child. But I'm pretty sure it was calling before as well. But if it is not this function, then what is going on? So And the only explanation if it's not this function, it has to be that it is the H box or the H scroll or the V scroll. That's the only thing that would make sense. Because if it works on the default there with the same class, then it should work when you add. So like the only reason is that is starting with no node and then is adding when it is running the scene already. So it's some function that runs in the beginning and doesn't run when you add the child. That should be it's the only explanation that makes sense in my mind right now. Hmm. So I'm getting a segmentation fault. I'm gonna go over with the debugger. It's easier. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. So the problem is that it has the child. Hmm. So I guess this is the issue. There isn't a way to. So obviously I can check to see if they exist already. So it's probably better to separate, because I'm not sure if it's gonna mess up the other one. I'm not sure if that's gonna solve anything because like this one should run when you add. Yeah, it is still. So it's another problem that is happening. I've just see. It's because of the panel style. So I should check this as well. Yeah. So this is interesting. So how does this work? Got it. Oh yeah, it's because it's not the full thing. I should be setting there. Yeah. It's still kind of weird. Like what is happening is that it adds the child and it doesn't have the panel style yet. I guess it's not that weird probably. It probably means that the notification for the thing change is gonna happen after the child has been added. So because the child is added before, it doesn't set up this stuff. So this value is still gonna be like no, it's not gonna exist. So I should just check there to see if else. Yeah, I guess this is the time. So this is gonna happen, even though this is called in the beginning, it happens after. But I'm pretty sure that this also runs there. Because last time that I step over, it seems that it runs after you add a new child. So, but if it is not that, then I'm not really sure what is going on. It could be this other function here, but I'm gonna test manually first. I think is valid. Just save as well. So I'm gonna try to run first, and I'm gonna try to set manually again. I'm pretty sure it does work if you start off with the. If I just put the custom physics there as a child, it does show the thing. So the problem has to be when it's running. You start with no children, and then you run. If I can solve this, then I'm just gonna go with the easy way. To just the choose a container there that's working as a direct child, and then just put that the name of that container as the one that is gonna add the other ones. But I think realistically, probably I'm gonna start with the first one, which is gonna be the file system doc. It's already gonna have that one by default. But I want to see if I can figure out a way to make it work with either with no container or with the panel as a child, or with the I think the control would be the best one. If I can make it work with the control as the direct child, then that's probably the best. Because the control is the one that is least likely to change the behavior of the children, which means that it's not gonna matter, like the design of the class that I'm gonna build to put there on the dock are gonna be like it's not gonna be relevant of the position that they are at there. So I'm gonna be able to think about them regardless of where I'm gonna put them, which is much better. I'm just gonna press F5 until it gets to the segmentation fonts. So something related to the editor layouts that is going on there. Huh, it works. So this was the problem. The problem is that it doesn't update. So I'm gonna see, nice. So I'm going to see what is the segmentation fault with the editor. I'm just gonna press F5 as much as possible. Might be something related to the thing, I think. That would be the biggest difference. Or maybe it's the way that the editor uses the scroll container. I'm just gonna remove this right now. Now the question is, if I do make it work with the thing there, the question is whether or not to leave the class like that. I think I'm gonna test to see what happens if I put a control. 'Cause I still think it's better, even if it works in the beginning there with no children. I do think it's better to have the control. So the control is direct child, and then put a minimum size. But I want to start with the exact so the minimum size of the control is gonna be the same as the minimum size of the parent of the scroll container. I think that's the best way. So it starts off with nothing if there isn't anything there. Actually, it's gonna be the minimum. I'm gonna choose a minimum size that makes sense for the file system. So depending on the minimum size I put on the file system, doc is going to be the same minimum size for the other ones. Let me see here if it does, because I'm pretty sure that on the editor it doesn't have. It doesn't, or maybe it does. And it doesn't have a slider here. Obviously, I'm not trying to make it exactly the same, but I do think it's better to have the slider if you wanna. Because the thing is, like, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna put here, so Like it might be different components, and some components might be nice to have the scroll on the bottom. So I do think it makes sense to put there. But I think that it makes more sense to. So like the main reason for this scroll is because I'm not sure what I'm gonna put there. So like if I make it based on if I make the minimum size based on the file system doc, then it's not gonna show. But then let's say there is something that is gonna be a bigger minimum size, then it's gonna show because the minimum size is gonna be determined on the parent, and then it's gonna be a difference. And then on that case, it's better if you have the scroll container. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to see if it is possible to solve the thing here, the problem that is happening. Actually, I'm not really sure if it works because I don't remember. I have to test again to see if it's gonna work. Maybe it doesn't work actually because I don't remember if the scene, the way that I left the scene the last time had anything as a child. Might be the case that it did have, so maybe it doesn't work. So this is very weird. I will try before I try to solve this. I'm going to make sure that this thing has the. So is the one that is deleting the nodes. I think this is happening when it's deleting the nodes. But then why would it call the function? It's kind of weird. It might be because of the thread. It deletes. So the like, I think the explanation that makes sense is threading, maybe. So like there's one thread that deletes a node and the other ones runs the thing there. That makes it so that because otherwise you wouldn't call the function because you wouldn't have the thing. And the only reason is to delete the thing as it's calling the function, I think. But I'm not really sure if that's the case. So the question is whether or not I can. It does look like it is using threads here. So what can I do? read access violation. I can search for examples where do where they check for threads on the, but not really like I don't know for sure if it is a threads problem or not. It's only happening. I guess before I even try to solve this, it's probably better to make sure that this thing is the way that I'm thinking that it is. So I should change the name of this. And comments this out. I'll be right back. So I'm going to uncomment the changes or comment the changes. Then compile again, run the scene, open from the editor, see if it works. I'm gonna open from the editor to see if it's not working, to make sure that the scene is the way that I'm thinking about it, and then if I check that it's not working, then I do the change again, compile again, try to run from VS Code, and then see if it works. If it does work, then I'm gonna try to see how can I make sure. I think the first thing that I'm gonna try is see if there's something related to threads. So I don't know, like the only explanation that makes sense in my mind right now is that Like it is checking to see if the vscroll exists here. So it means that it should be deleted the moment it calls this function here. So I think that the only explanation is that you have two different threads and the data race. Because even though this class is not multi-threaded, I think that the main node functionality there for deleting and adding nodes is multi-threaded. So I think there is something related to this, but I'm not really sure. Otherwise, how is it possible that you would get a read access violation here or here? Doesn't make sense. I'm probably not gonna be able to study the file system doc today. It's been some time already. Which is kind of annoying, but I think it's worth it to spend time. I do have to study the classes anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. The more you study the classes, the easier it becomes to understand everything. And I'm already planning, obviously, in studying everything, so because like the more you know, the easier it gets. So like the more nodes I know about, it's gonna be easier and easier to build things because they're always reusing the same nodes. So it's worth it to spend time. But obviously, I'm thinking like doing the other stuff first, and then once I get to the point where I have like a system to build things, then I can spend a bunch of time like studying node by node all the functionality and trying to like increase the amount of nodes that I know. So I do think that now it is in the setup that it's not working, so I'm gonna compile again, do the changes, compile. See if I can run directly on the game, just see if it's gonna work. Because maybe it did work there, but it wasn't the way that I was thinking about. Yeah, I'm gonna try to test these macros here. I don't know for sure how they work because which the definition doesn't have anything, but it does have here on the debug enabled. But when it doesn't have anything, I guess I can just because it's probably a macro that comes from the standard library or something like that. This is the same thing that happened on the unlikely macro that they use. And now I know that the unlikely are from C++, and they are used to hint to the compiler the branches that are most likely to be taken or not, because the compiler changes the code a lot that you type on C++. And the reason why it does that is because depending on the architecture, they're gonna have circuits that optimize for that do branch prediction basically, which optimizes the cache utilization. So it's based on a finite state machine, as far as I remember, and I think it's a true state. Like there's 4 different nodes of the finite state machine that they do. So I think it tries to predict 2 in a row, I think. So it always predicts that it's gonna take the last branch that it was taken, and then it goes from state to state based on that prediction. And I think it's two different predictions like that. So if you guesses run wrong, then it goes to the other state, and then from that one it can go to the other side of the state. Like it's just four nodes connected, like one two connected to each other on top, and then two on the bottom, and then there's a bridge between them. Because and this is directly on the hardware, and then obviously the compiler, because some branch predictions you can only predict based on runtime, but others you can predict on compile time because you're gonna be able to know the data, I think. Yeah, so based on that, the compiler is gonna reorder the order of execution of the instructions, and yeah, that's gonna make the code run faster based on the architecture. So I assume that it is a very like a similar thing to the threads here. That there's something on the thread library that when you put this define there, the C++ is gonna understand. I'm not really. I don't understand why. So it's kind of hard to think about questions, but I'm probably gonna just ask LLM or use a search engine to understand how does it work. Like how does C++ compiler know if you have this like empty macro that is something related to the library? I guess it must be something that the library defines, and then yeah, but I'm not really sure how it works. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT now. Let's five how much times. It doesn't work. So it was because of this thing. So it didn't work. Hmm. So I still think that it is something related to this, even though now is running all the time there. Must be something. Yeah, so the other thing to test is so I should compile. So I'm gonna close, compile again, remove the thing there. Because I'm pretty sure that if I start with the thing, then it's gonna work. If I start with the custom physics as a child of the scroll container, it does show up there. Oh, so it doesn't do anything when it's running. So is it just for debugging, probably? Either it does something and ChatGPT is hallucinating, or it doesn't do anything, it just does something when you're running the debug version. And I didn't spend time yet studying how they do thread locking, because for if you're using the STD thread directly, then just call lock, I think, on the thread, and that makes sure that the thread is locked. But here, I'm not really sure if they use macros or something like that. I know that they use a thread pool, so create multiple threads and you have a class, sure. But I didn't spend time studying this. There's also like different types of threads. That there are the threads that the engine uses, as far as I know, and then there are there are data structures for you to be able to set up your own threads on GDScript. So I think that like I'm not sure if these threads here are directly like on the engine code, or they are just the ones that you are able to use if you set on the like on GDScript or whatever. I know the mutex for sure that the engine uses because of the string name class that I was looking at. So atomics it does use for sure. And I also think that I'm pretty sure that the engine uses threads because I remember seeing when I was stepping over. I'm not really sure how it works though. Yeah, so it does work by default here. So it must be something related to the execution. So when you don't have anything and then you add after, there's something going on. So I guess I'm gonna spend more time trying to understand this, as I really wanna know. Is worker thread something? Name of the class. Worker thread pool. So it doesn't use it on the nodes apparently. It uses for resources. And this one have. So it's using lock and unlock to prevent data erasers. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I guess I put the breakpoint here some time ago to go over this. I do remember there are some parts where it calls threads. I think on some of the nodes as well. But yeah, for the macros are the macros are the thing that I wasn't sure because I seen some macros with the threads, but I wasn't sure if they how exactly do they work. Pretty sure the unlikely and the likely is doesn't have anything, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it's just like defines with the X here. I guess it depends on the compiler though. So GNU does have something. So maybe if you're not using this compiler, it doesn't do anything. Those are the hardest things to know for sure because like it's black boxes. You kind of have to guess. And this is the reason why like sometimes I'm not really sure if like I'm reading it correctly because obviously if it's just the thing then it means that it doesn't do anything. But then what would be the point of putting this? So it has to do something, but sometimes like you don't know for sure. So so I think it's gonna predict only when you're using GNU compiler. Because this one is probably gonna call the function. Yes, the ones that have the underscores, I'm pretty sure they are C++ related. It's similar to Python, and I think from last time that I was studying C Python, I do remember something like this where I think the Python dunder methods came from these kinds of things, and there was a problem with the Python there that like it didn't there was something to do with the under double underscores that I think that they didn't want to override some function from C++ or something, but I don't remember really well the details. But I do think that on C++, when you use double underscore, you're accessing the built-in library stuff. Oh, this one is another one, I think. A thread guardian. But it goes through this stuff here that doesn't do anything. Is readable from color tron. So this thread local, as far as I remember, is when you want to declare a static variable, but it wants to be each thread should declare its own variable. And I guess like these things are probably related to the if you use set threads, not the engine, but I'm not really sure. And I assume that it's probably not that relevant. And the problem here is like I think it's just gonna be the same stuff that I've already seen. It's not gonna allow me to understand what is going on. So this is true. Also, it does look like it is going through the macro there, through the error message, because it's tapping into this function. So it's saying it's true. But if it is true already, then why is not showing? This Yeah, so it does call this stuff here. I'm not gonna spend time on this. So I guess I need to go over. I put the thing there, then go over when it does work. So this runs every time you change the size there. I'm going to put the VBox container, check if it works, then step over again to see if there is any difference. And I'm probably gonna stop streaming. I guess another thing I can try is just but it is kind of basically the same as uh, pushing or putting a VBox container there because the custom physics inherits from VBox. So it is as like almost the same as putting a VBox container. So the problem is when you start with nothing and then you go over. Even if this doesn't have anything, I do think it works there. Yeah, so it does work. So I'm gonna save this and then run again. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to know because it's gonna work. Yeah, but when it starts off with the control, it also doesn't work. There's both. It has to start with something, and the thing that it starts with matters. So why doesn't it work with the control? Maybe it does work. I don't remember anymore. But as I need to do again to remember if it works or not. But I think it doesn't. Just gonna try to get there as fast as possible. On time. It's gonna be 0. Alright. I don't remember if it was -4. Oh, so this one is different. Huh. I think that's the problem. So the other one, I do remember that it was on the it went on the return here. So it was already visible. It was true, and the visible was true already. So it just returned. And now it wasn't. So the easiest way to test this is by setting as false. Yeah, but this is a problem. I think you would have to, if it's gonna run all the time, you would have to set as false, which doesn't make sense. I have to understand why it's setting as true. when it doesn't have children. Whatever. I don't think that this is gonna be that much difference. I'm just gonna skip this stuff. Update minimum size. Maybe this one, it doesn't matter. But I think I'm not gonna be able to now. I'm just gonna skip. Got you the points there. So here, gonna go over this as well. I'm pretty sure that the difference is like this one was visible. Like, wouldn't this be 0 if there isn't any children? So it should be false. I think it should be false in the beginning. Alright, false should be 0, the width. Yeah, whatever. So I'm just gonna go fast. I think it is what I'm thinking about. Now it's 150. Because all the other stuff seems to be the same. Box container. Yeah, I think this stuff is the same. So it should be. The main difference is that on the first one, it was already true to the visible thing. So it started off as visible. The other one, I think, is sat to true. minus 5. I should put a breakpoint on the visible thing. Just here. So this is gonna be false, but so they're different now. The switches. Yeah, so I think is this thing here the problem. So it has to be because of this, which means that like the starting value of this should be greater than the size with when it starts off with nothing, which is very weird. Because it has to be true there in the beginning. So I guess I'm gonna do, so last thing that I'm gonna try to do is to change again the scene, then see from the beginning what happens. Try to see from the beginning on the, and the problem is that there is more than one scroll container. So let me think, what is, maybe I should make sure first that it is false, or it is true already. I think what is happening is that on the first situation, when you add directly the custom physics, this is already true, and it doesn't change the visible. And it's weird that it's already true because it's not showing there. So this is what I don't understand. On the other situation, it does change. It is false, and then it starts to true. And I think when it does that, the other function there is gonna update the size, probably. It doesn't work, so. So in my mind, it should be 0, and then it shouldn't go here because it doesn't have any children in the beginning. So I should skip this stuff, which means that this size is gonna be 0. As I can look in here. So if this is 0, it should be false in the beginning. I was just gonna press. I think that like it should be false, so it shouldn't go here, but it shouldn't matter. Like the only thing that matters is the value here because that's the one that is gonna be used there. I think when it calls, it should be 0, but maybe that's the problem because it changes. I think it works as a flag, so it changes the initial state because the initial state is supposed to be dependent on whatever you have there, which is dependent on the minimum size. I think that's what's happening. So because it starts off with the initial wrong flag, it breaks the thing. I think that's what is going on. No, but it should be false by default there. Maybe flips the beginning. Uh, the thing is that I'm not really sure. This is another situation, so. But maybe not. I say it's false. Maybe I can put in the watch thing here. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. So why is it 40 in the beginning? It could be another instance of the scroll container. But I'm not sure why, if I'm running the game directly, why would it be the case? So here is 0, and here is 504. Sorry, this is false. I'm just gonna press 5 a bunch of times. Because I'm not gonna be able to know for sure if it is the same there, and there's probably several. Since it is running several times, but maybe it's running several times for the same thing there. So I'm run the process of 5 again. Okay, so now it's true, and this is false. So it is the same, so it's probably not this. And parents visible in tree. This was different, I think, than the other one. So maybe it is this thing. Hmm. So what if I try to... So this is false, which means it's gonna be true. So let's see. Trying to think about a way to set this parent to true, parent visible in tree true. So I think what is happening is that when you don't have the node on the tree, it must be because of this. I think that's the only thing that makes sense. So when you already have the nodes as a child of the thing, then this starts as true. Because the parent is going to be visible on the tree. But when the node is not a part of the scene yet, and you add the nodes when the thing is running, and this is going to be false, which means it's not going to trigger this thing. And this should be the thing that makes because it's calling the rendering server, that makes the thing visible. And I think this is a member variable of the canvas item. But this should be because it's calling from the H scroll, so it's not related to the stuff you're putting there. I think, not really sure. Yeah, like it's calling from here, so yeah, maybe it's not this the problem. I'm pretty sure the last time we went through this one and not here. Now let me just pause. So I'm just gonna make sure I'm gonna go back. So change the scene again. I'm pretty sure that the last time it went over the other branch. So if it did went, then I can test, just see if I can start from the thing there. But why would it set in one situation and not the other? That's the question. So it does work. Just gonna try to get there really fast. Because the variable is related to the H scroll. It's not related to the stuff you're putting in the scene. So why in one situation it would be false and the other one would be true, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember now. Just to make sure, go back again. I think yeah, go fast. Get to the point where I have the scene, then here. So this, yeah. So it goes to the other one. So this is true. So it must be this thing. So now I have to think about how can I test this, and why in one situation is true and the other one is not. Apparently visible entry. So I'm gonna write this now. Here. I was looking for a setter to see if it can set this value. Propagate visibility changed. So it's probably through this thing that it changes. And it must be through this. I handle visibility change. Visibility change. Visible. So now let me go here and see if there's any. It's really weird. So what would be the difference? Why can't be this? So it has to be a function on the scroll that sets that. Each scroll. I think like since the parent is not visible, it must be on the parent. But then like how is this that? That's the question. So maybe it's like set visible. Yeah, set visible. Just true. Okay, so I'm gonna try to put this set visible on the constructor and see what happens. Pause. Turn on mode back. Should make sure. I'll test from here first. Cause like it's calling from the H scroll and it's checking for the parents. So the parents is the scroll container, obviously. So the question is why when you add when it doesn't have a child it's not visible. But when it does have a child it is. So let's try. Let me make sure that this does not the thing there. But I do think it does. Unless it's already visible. Oh yeah, it has to be. I'm not really sure how the relationship, how did they create the relationship. It's probably on the notification there. But I do assume that like if you set the this one as visible, then the other one's gonna become true. The one that's this one that I'm trying to make it true. But I guess I can try to just set directly even without the setter, but I think that's gonna be a private variable, so it's probably not gonna work. Yeah, it is returning, but I don't think it matters that much. So I'm curious to see after you put everything there, if it's going to go the same flow, because then is another problem. and it's not what I'm thinking. Oh, so it's still going here, so it means this didn't change. I'm gonna try to manually set this. See what see if I can compile. So it would be, I'm gonna set on both of them. But I don't think that's gonna work. This is probably a member variable or private variable. I suppose no, it's private. So I guess I can create a function just set this and see if it works. Because I need to make sure, like I want to see first if it works, because then if it works, then obviously I can spend time trying to understand why that is false when the scroll container doesn't have a child and it's true when it does. In the beginning there of the visualization. Yeah, but already assume that is. So I guess I can temporarily put as a public variable. This is the easiest way to test this. Obviously I'm gonna go back. So I'm just doing this to see if it's gonna work. So manual stat is visible in the constructor so that no matter the order there is going to be true. Because I think it is that function there at the end. So in order for the scroll to show, it has to run the function. I'll be right back. when you change something on a file that a lot of things depend on, it usually takes a bunch of time to compile because it has to update all the files. So I'm not sure how it works under the hood with scones, but I assume it caches, like it creates a dependency graph based on the includes that the C++ files have, and then it caches it only recompiles the files that are dependent on the changes you made, I think. So the deeper the file is on the dependency graph, the more stuff you have to recompile. I assume that's what is going on. You just have to wait to see. I'm gonna test first on the editor and just see if it's gonna work, and then after that go over with the debugger, just see if you change the path there of execution. If it doesn't work and you change the path, then obviously something else. And if it does work, then it was that. And then I'm gonna have to think about why is it that when it doesn't have a child, that variable is false. And it doesn't have a child in the beginning. And it might be because it is not a part of the tree because it doesn't even add to the tree, but it needs to add to the tree, I think. So it's probably just a variable because otherwise it would be a null pointer, so a dangling pointer. Because the thing wouldn't have the node and it would try to add to that node. So either it would crash or it wouldn't show the node after adding. So that should be the variable. So there's some mechanism. If that is the case, it has to be something to do with the OBS crash. Maybe because of the compilation. Has to be something to do with uh, the fact that it doesn't have. At least I know for sure that at least that is a part of the problem, but I'm not really sure if there is more stuff. I do think that is mainly because it has to start with something as a child, but there's need to have something more because of the like depends on the what kind of a child it has as well. So I think that's one of the problems, and there's probably another. But maybe not actually, because when I put the control, it works. So it might be just because it has to start with something. So this still doesn't work. I'm gonna test. Just to remember, I test so many different things that I always forget. But I'm pretty sure it was working like this as well. So even if it doesn't have anything, no, so this way it doesn't work. So let me set the flag, just see if it works. But I think it's not gonna work as well. Yeah, so it depends on what kind of child you put there and whether or not it has something in the beginning. It could be just the type of child actually. I mean, maybe the problem is not when it doesn't have a node. It is the type of child. It has to be a container that resizes itself when you want, or changes some variable. I should be a container that maybe I should look into the notification of the stroke or the HBox or box container. I think I already looked into this. Update minimum sizing. It might be this update minimum sizing. So I can test. Yeah, this is worth testing because it's easy. You can just call the update minimum size on the custom physics. But it might be because of this function. And this one, it will be more annoying to test. Yeah, I'm gonna look into this, then I'm gonna try the update minimum size there. And this is probably the last thing that I'm gonna try. Just wanna see if it changed the variable. Here. It's true. It's still false. Huh. What the fuck? Let me go back. It should be false on this one. Maybe there's another. Oh, I can call this directly. So I'm gonna try this before I try the other stuff. I'm gonna call this directly, and I'm gonna pass through there. So on the place that it does the thing here. But this might break everything, but just gonna see if it works. So this is the other one. I'm pretty sure that this is from the control. So this should be easy to call. But I think it's probably not. If it is something to do with the class here, is gonna be the resource thing. So both I think panel container is another class that works. So I should look into this. Oh, so this is probably the function. Because the other one calls this one as well. So I can try this fit child in rectangle. So This is gonna take a long time to do that. I can see if there's another function that says that. It's just gonna call. If this propagates visibility change. As the same. Mm. Yeah, so let me test. Problem is that it's gonna take a lot of time to compile again. The thing, it might be this function that triggers that makes the bar show up, but I don't see anything like any reason why it would be this function. That's the only explanation that like the child in that case would be the stuff that I'm passing there. So it should be something to do with this function rect. Yeah, I've been here for a long time, so should probably stop streaming now. So it might be that this one sends a notification, but I don't think it's gonna be. Yeah, doesn't have anything. That's why I transform. It might be the update thing there. Maybe it's the local transform change. So give us item. I forgot which one it is here. And translation change. Might be this. But this is only gonna call on the class hierarchy, it's not gonna call on the other node. I think. The other thing is that the custom physics is inheriting from the VBox container, so it should be something different than this. Yeah, but on the other situation, I'm adding as a child of the VBox. Yeah, so it has to be this function here, because this probably runs on the VBox container. I guess, yeah, since the other one is inheriting, I can just call this one. Or I can just put the same thing. I'm gonna try to do this actually. So I'm gonna copy. Yeah, but shouldn't this run on the other one? No, but it's not gonna run because it's not adding as a child. I'm gonna copy and then I'm gonna just call this on the. Or maybe I should just call the function the constructor. So you should call here after initialize everything. Or maybe on the ready, notification ready. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So next thing that I'm gonna test is gonna be this. Hmm. So we're just gonna go back. The problem is that it's gonna take a long ass time. I think I'm gonna stop streaming here. I'm gonna test this other stuff off stream. So I'm gonna test what happens. Just gonna go back here. What happens when I call? I think it's resource. This function here. I'm pretty sure I can call from here because it's gonna be the same. Because it might be this function that triggers. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here. It's private. That's whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna test this off stream and I'm gonna spend more time trying to figure this out. If I can't figure it out, I'm gonna try like a couple more hours, probably tomorrow as well. So if I see that I spend too much time trying to figure this out, I'm just gonna go with the easier way there. Just to set the node as a child in the beginning, and then I use that node to put there. The problem that way is that it's gonna force me to use the container that works there instead of putting a control or whatever. If I can't figure out what is wrong, then I'm gonna try to change the class so that I can start, or I can put a control node there. Either change the class or figure out a different way that I can use a control as a direct child of the other one. So I can use the control node as the node that I'm gonna use as a target to put the other docs there. And then after I figure this out, I'm going to go back to studying the FileSystemDock to create a class that is gonna be basically the same functionality as the FileSystemDock. And that's the next thing that I'm gonna do after I figure this out here. So see you next time.